Hello and welcome back to Keep It Simple Academy. Today we're going to be solving equations and this is going to be part 2 of our series. Alright, so before we begin, I want you to take out a sheet of paper so that you can write your answers to the problems as we go along. Alright, so this is our lesson plan for today. A promise to a friend. This is basically going to be a situation that is going to help us understand what it is that we're doing, and it's going to help us solve some problems. The next thing that we're going to do is review some variables, because I know sometimes we can get tripped up on variables. Then we're going to do addition and subtraction, and then multiplication and division, and then we're going to recap. So the thing that we're going to look at first is that we're going to be making a promise to our friend. So let's say that you and your friend decide to get in shape by walking. You make a promise to each other to walk the same number of steps each day. The goal is to keep increasing, but as you know, sometimes life gets in the way, so you support each other by matching steps. What this means is that if you walk 1,000 steps, your friend is going to walk 1,000 steps. If you walk 2,000 steps, they walk 2,000 steps, and so on. So let's look at some questions, and that's going to get us started. So write them down or write the answers on your piece of paper, because that's going to help you track your progress. So if your friend wants to walk 100 feet more, how do you change your steps? If you want to walk twice as much, what does your friend have to do? And what do you notice happens when you or your friend changes their steps? So share your answers in the comments, pause the video, and we'll look at the answers when we get back. Alright, so since you are matching steps, if your friend walks 100 feet more, you have to walk 100 feet more. For the same reason, they would walk twice as much if you want to walk twice as much. And basically whatever one friend does, the other one does as well. So let's look at variables. We want to review variables. We want to make sure we understand this really well, because it's very important when it comes to solving equations and even later on in your other math classes. So the first thing is that variables are unknown, and what that means is that we really just have no idea what they are. So X is like a mystery that we have to solve. We're like a detective and we're looking for clues. And the way that we solve it is that we use our math methods to find what it is. So that's the first thing, variables are unknown. So let's look at an example. If someone gives me a bag, a huge bag filled with M&Ms, like let's say they just went to the store, bought a bunch of bags of M&Ms and just poured all of them into this bag. And then they're like, well, how many M&Ms are in there? I really have no idea how many are in there. But what I can do, if I'm a good mathematician, is I can say this is X, because it's unknown, right? I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to call it X. Make my life easier. Next thing that we do is that it's important to realize that sometimes we can't do anything with the variable. For example, if they tell me that they ate 10 M&Ms, really all I can say is that's X minus 10. I still don't know how many are in there, and the best I can really say is X minus 10 M&Ms. So there's nothing wrong with that. You really can't make this any simpler. You can't say X minus 10 is 13, because maybe they have, I don't know, 10,000 M&Ms in the bag. So really, you can't know. You have to leave it as X, because once again, variables are unknown. Okay, so let's look a little bit at some practice so you can get a little bit more intuition with this. So think of 3 examples for things that are unknown unless you count or measure them. So what I mean by that unknown is, like an example is like how heavy a book is, right? You don't really know. Or what your lamp measures in feet and inches. Also don't really know unless you measure it. So these are things that you can use to call X. So think of 3 examples for things like this. Write it in your piece of paper and even share it in the comments if you feel like it. All right. So let's look at addition and subtraction. And this is going to be a big step in learning how to solve equations. The first thing that we want to know about addition and subtraction when it comes to solving equations is that addition and subtraction are inverse operations. So what that means, well, let's look at an example. Your friend gives you a quarter, so plus 25 cents to your balance. So that's addition. They give you a quarter plus 25 cents. Then they ask for a quarter. So this friend is kind of like, you can't really trust them too much. But anyways, they give you a quarter, then they ask for a quarter. So that's minus 25 cents. So that's subtraction. So they gave you plus 25, minus 25. So really in that situation, what happens? Well, you end up right back where you started, right? Like if you had $1 and they did that whole thing, well, you end up right back where you started with $1. In the same way, if we have x plus 6, we're adding 6 to x. Then we subtract 6. Well, we end up right again with x. All right. So let's look at how we can use what we just learned about inverses with addition and subtraction. Remember, addition and subtraction, inverses. So let's look at how we can use that. You walked this many steps today, and your friend was planning on walking more. They say that they walked 300 steps less than their plan in order to match you. How much were they planning on walking? See if you can try to set up the equation. And if you want to write it on your piece of paper so you can see what you were thinking and then what it actually ended up being. So feel free to pause the video and we'll get right back into it. So the way that we set up the equation is that we say their plan minus 300, right? Because their plan, they had to make it 300 steps less than their plan. So they subtracted 300 steps from their original plan. So all of that is what you actually walked because you guys had to match each other like your promise says. So what we don't know is what their plan was. So that's going to be our x. So we can rewrite it as x minus 300 equals what you walked, which was that. And what we really want to find is x, right? We're looking for what their plan was. And to get x by itself, there's something in the way, that minus 300. We're subtracting 300. So we are going to use the inverse operation, which like we see, subtraction, so addition. So we're going to add 300 and we're done, right? Well, no, because that doesn't make any sense. This is basically saying that their plan was what you walked. So something's missing. So we have to add to both sides. So we added 300 to the left side. We add it to the right side. And what I mean by sides is that we have this equal sign in the middle. So everything to the left of the equal sign is the left side. Everything to the right of it is the right side. So we add 300 to the left. We also have to add it to the right. Okay, so then that gives us that number, and that is what their plan was. Oh, okay. So we can also do the same thing if we're adding something to x, right? Because if we're adding, then we just subtract. And so let's look at this example. We have x plus 6. So what do you think we have to do? Yeah, we subtract 6 from both sides. And this one's going to go away. And then we're going to have 33 minus 6, which is 27. So try these examples. You can do these already. The only one that's a little bit tricky is this one. But if you get lost on this one, look at the description. I'm going to tell you a little tip in the description about that one. All right, so give it a shot. Pause the video, write it in your paper, and we'll get back to it. All right, multiplication and division. So just like addition and subtraction, multiplication and division are also inverse operations. So your teacher gives you 2 times as much homework. Yeah, it happens. Sometimes you can't avoid life. So we multiply by 2. Then they say you only have to do half of it. So we divide by 2. And you end up right back where you started, right? So we multiplied by 2, then we divided by 2, and we ended up right back where we started. So in the same way, if we have 2x, so we multiply x by 2, then we divide by 2, we end up with x. So let's look at how we can use that similar to addition and multiplication. Let's say your friend forgot his phone today, so he can't count his steps. But he counted 5 markers on the trail. And when you're walking on trails, sometimes they're going to put these like sticks every so often that's going to tell you, okay, like you're a little bit further on the trail. This is like a marker. Yeah, basically that's what a marker is. So he knows he walked 5 markers. And then later in the day, when you walk 5 markers, your phone says that you walked that many steps, and it's a new record. So you guys are feeling pretty good. All right. So what you both want to do, because you're curious, you're like, okay, so 5 markers. So how much is 1 marker. So you want to see how far apart the markers are. So see if you can set up an equation to solve that. And the way that we do it is that we say 5 markers equals that, and what we don't know is 1 marker, right? So that's going to be our x. So we're going to say 5 times x, 5 times 1 marker is that many. And once again, we want to find x by itself because we're looking for 1 marker. And okay, so that's what we know. We want to find x by itself. Then the next thing is we look at 5x. So that means 5 times x. And we can use that cool method of the inverse. So we're going to divide by 5. And remember to divide by both sides, because if we divide the left side only, then we get rid of the 5 times x, so we just have x. But that doesn't make any sense. 1 marker is the same as 5 markers? Huh? What? So we have to divide the right side by 5 as well. So remember, anything you do to the left side, you have to do to the right side. Okay, so then what we end up with is x equals 2,510.2 steps. That's how much 1 marker is. And we can do the same thing if we're dividing something, or dividing x by something. So we have x divided by 6. We can just multiply both sides by 6. So on this side, x divided by 6 times 6 is just going to give us x. And then 33 times 6 is 198. Okay, so go ahead and try these examples. You should be able to do it by now. And if you get lost, the answers are in the description of the video. Okay, good job. Let's look at what we learned so far. So variables can't be changed if all we have is like something that looks like this. Like if we had an equation where it said x minus 10 equals 4, then we can use our detective solving methods, which was inverse operations like we learned today. But if we just say x minus 10, it's like that M&M example. Well, I don't know what x is, so x minus 10, still don't know what that is. And the same with 5x. If I don't know what x is, I don't know what 5x is. So we just leave them like that, unless we have more information where we can find what x is. Next thing we saw is addition and subtraction are inverses. And you can undo subtraction by addition, and you can undo addition by subtraction. So that's our cool method for today, is inverse operations. And it's the same with multiplication and division. And then the real important thing, well, all of it's really important, but one thing to remember, which I see a lot of people forget, is that anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. And we saw reasons why that happens. It's like if you only do it to one side, you kind of end up with something that doesn't make a lot of sense. So you always want to do it to both sides. Well, that's our video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please write to me in the comments. I wish you a great day, and I'll see you next time.